Hey, so I just got back from the theater after watching Iron Lung. It is currently 1 in the morning, so I mean, I'm really sorry if I look a little tired, but I really wanted to share my honest thoughts and opinions about the movie. So for context, this is Markiplier's big movie, the one that he funded himself, and so far has made I think like 5 times its budget. It is essentially about him, a convict trapped in a submarine inside an ocean of blood on an alien moon, and his job is to follow a bunch of coordinates that were, given to him preemptively, and he needs to take pictures of those. But obviously, stuff doesn't go right. He gets trapped and he needs to find a way to, satisfy the people who are in control of the situation and also find a way to stay alive. For me, I am a huge fan of the video game. I actually played it recently because I knew the movie was coming up, so I wanted to know what I was getting myself into. And I love this game so much that I decided to put on hold the other project I was working on, which is something I usually don't do, and start working on the Iron Lung video game pretty much immediately. So if you like retrospectives on indie video games, do subscribe. That will be coming in the near future. I'll try to release it in the following month. But back to the movie, it is extremely faithful to the video game. So what I mean by that is the submarine itself, everything, the way it functions, the problems that you can encounter, everything is pretty much the same. The lore very much respects the video game. It adds a lot to it. Just to give you an idea, the main protagonist in the video game isn't really developed. All we know is that he is a convict and it pretty much stops there. We kind of have an idea of why he is in the situation that he is, but other than that, not really. The movie really builds that up, which you kind of have to. It is a movie after all, and the only character that we actually get to follow is Markiplier, so it was necessary. And there's a bunch of little changes here and there that were done and, added into the lore, but overall, very faithful, which is what really surprised me because, the video game is very simplistic in its lore. It gives you snippets of interesting ideas, but it lets your imagination fill in the blanks. And I really love how the movie decided to take its own direction while also keeping everything else intact. And that also even goes for the problems. No spoilers, of course, but yeah, so for me, I was giggling and I was like, oh, this is so cool, and this here, oh my god, I can't do it. There were so many moments like that, to the point that my spouse kept turning her head because she had no idea what the fuck was happening, and more on that later, but she would look at me and I was just grabbing my little beer, and I was super into it. It was amazing. I freaking love it. Honestly, I need to give props to Markiplier. That dude can act. I haven't really been following his stuff that much, to be quite honest, so I was really surprised to see him be as efficient as he is. And what I also found really interesting is when the movie started, I didn't get that impression. I thought that he wasn't it was very bland and mediocre, but the more the movie went, the better the guy got. And my spouse is actually convinced that they did that on purpose so that the change of emotion later on in the movie feels grander. They really wanted to create a stark contrast between the beginning and end of the movie, so they kind of, did that on purpose. Shout out to you, Markiplier. Honestly, very amazing performance. And you could really tell that this was a passion project all the way through, and you can see where the money went. It is freaking amazing. And honestly, speaking of the money, I'm really surprised that they were able to do as much as they did in this movie with that kind of budget. Genuinely, I've seen AAA movies, stuff that has gone a lot more higher names attached to it, a higher budget, a better script and everything, and not be able to do that well the special effects or even the practical effects. It really stands out. This is an experience, and I think it's genuinely worth seeing in theaters, and I'm really happy that I was able to do that. My only gripe, honestly, from a fan of the video game is the fact that I think the movie's too long. The video game, if you want 100% and get all the achievements, it takes about an hour and a half. One playthrough is about 50 minutes, and I think that's perfect. you know, and especially because in the video game, you're obviously the one in control, you know, so your mileage may vary, but you get to feel that stress. You get to really feel like you're in the shoes of this individual. And the more messed up the situation goes, you know, the worse that everything becomes, and you get to feel that. But when you're watching a movie, you're watching someone else go through all of that. So there's that little distance there that you obviously can't translate because of the medium, but it also makes everything a little less exciting. With all that said, like, this movie was 2 hours, I think, and 4 minutes. By the way, there's nothing in the credits. Afterwards, you can just leave and go. But that being said, 2 hours and 4 minutes. And I would say the movie felt like an extra hour. You know, like, this felt like a 3.5 hour long movie. And, you know, it has obviously everything to do with the setting, right? Like, this person is sealed in a submarine, and it's only Markiplier. And here and there, you get to hear voices, but that's pretty much the extent of it. But overall, really cool. You know, so from a fan, if I had to give this out of 10, I would say it is a solid 9. Like, this was straight up really amazing, and I will be getting a physical copy when it releases. But that being said, I kind of insinuated earlier that my spouse didn't know what the hell was happening, and ironically, right next to me sat an old manager from an old job that I had, which was totally unplanned. It just happened, you know, small world. And he didn't even know that the movie was based on a video game. So for him, it was genuinely, you know, the movie and that's it. And when the credits rolled, the guy was so flabbergasted because he had no idea what the hell the whole thing was about. You know, like, the movie doesn't really do a good job to kind of explain its lore. It's really fixated on replicating the video game as closely as possible and then kind of adding in and doing its own thing. But like, in the video game, there isn't really that much context. You get like a little text at the beginning, then the whole gameplay section, and then if you do something that I won't spoil, you get to unlock extra lore, and all of the lore basically comes from that section. In a movie, you obviously can't do that. You know, in a movie, you need to explain everything to your audience, and both people were basically really lost. And like, that's also why, like, my spouse kept looking at me, because like, every time she kind of wanted me to, you know, either explain something to her or just see if her reaction matched mine, and I was freaking tripping the whole movie. So it didn't really, you know, work out that way. And I think that is also why, like, the critical scores for this movie are very mixed. They're currently around the 50 to 60%. And it's because, like, I think the movie really works if you know where it comes from. If you just go in and you watch the movie and only that, there's a lot of tell, don't show. And then the rest of the movie kind of takes for granted that you're aware of the context when they basically just send a few lines at the very beginning, and that's about that. For you, maybe just wait for a stream, you know, wait for something that, you know, that you can basically watch it some other way, because it is a very long movie and it's a very confusing movie. But like, if you just go in to have a very good experience and just enjoy the thrill of the chase, I think you're gonna have a blast. Again, 9 out of 10, freaking love it. And if you do end up seeing it, please let me know in the comment section. And FYI, my channel usually does long retrospectives on video games. I'm only planning to do movie reviews for movies that are based on a video game, hence why I decided to put this in. And like I mentioned previously, I'll be making a video on Iron Lung. It will contain also more information on my thoughts on the movie, but in general, it will be really based on the video game itself. I'll be going through the whole thing and adding a bunch of fun facts, which I don't want to spoil in this video. So with that, thank you for watching. Do let me know how you found the video and how you found the movie, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.